Hey y'all, welcome to another video. My name is Tracy, and I'm here to serve the Lord. I'm here to another video to encourage you guys, and this one is a little bit of like a chit chat style, just in terms of like what the Lord has been doing in my life this past month, how I took the time with Him just so God can actually continue to work through me. Um, so as I was thinking, and I was actually talking to God, and I'm like, God, what is it that you want me to tell people? What is it? What's the message? What's the theme, even for September? And as we're walking into a new month, and the very first thing that came to me was I woke up in the morning and I went outside and I saw my flower plants, um, and I saw my roses. And it was instantly that, God spoke to me through the roses, through the flowers, and just bringing things, bringing analogies in order for me to understand, in order for me to be able to teach you guys. Um, so the theme for September, it's watch how you bloom after your pruning season. So a lot of you guys, um, may have gone through a season where it felt very isolated. You felt very alone, and God really has to work on you. And sometimes it can be very challenging. It can be very jarring to also know that now you have to kind of sit with the Lord, and especially for some of you guys who are on this journey and you're seeking the Lord and you want to know, like, okay, God, what's my next step? What do I do now? Career wise, what do I do? What's the next move do I need to do financially? What is it? Um, you've been on this journey, and it's a journey of transformation, and it's never just linear. There's so many things along the way that God also has to work through you. Um, and so sometimes you can also be in a space, a season where it calls for you to just be alone. It calls for you to have no distractions. It calls for you to just spend that one-on-one time with God. Okay. Um, we call this like your wilderness season. And during your wilderness season, oh my goodness, I'm gonna make a whole series on it of what to expect, what not to expect, um, and how to even overcome certain challenges, certain emotions that you will face. Because unless you've gone through a season of wilderness, let me tell you, it is so shocking. It is so shocking. And this has come from somebody that um, I thought I was a um, extroverted type of person. I thought I love to go out all the time. And it's not even just go out and party. No, it's not even any of that. It's just I like to go on hikes. I like to go on walks. I like to be outside, especially now, like, summertime is here. Well, now it's coming to an end, but I like to just be outside, constantly doing something. If I'm not working, I want to be doing something outside, whatever it is. Um, so I found myself this summer, and finally, it took a few tries because a lot of the times, too, when God is trying to get my attention and God's trying to get me to sit down and really pay attention to Him, pay attention to the relationship that I have with Him, and paying attention to how God wants to work in my life. Um, Sometimes I don't always get it. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't always get it. I'm like that kid that's like, no. It's like, if those of you who know how children are, it's like, especially if like you take them to the park, and I'm sure you've seen it too. You take them to the park, and now it's time to go. That kid is having a full on meltdown. You could probably tell that some kids are tired. They need a nap, but for whatever reason, this kid thinks, no, I am not tired. I want to stay here. Either that or you're trying to put them down for a nap, and it's like, no, I don't want to miss out on anything, and I want to stay here even though I know I'm tired. That's me. I am like that person. I am like that child. I will be tired and I'll be like, God, no, I still want to be around. I still want to have fun. I still want to enjoy myself. I don't want to go. And, the Lord is so patient. He is so patient because he'll be like, okay, I'm going to let you have your way. And for a few years, God allowed me, because I also realized, now I realize the maturity hadn't caught up as yet. There's certain things that, you have within you that's still childlike, that you have not grown up from. And I was one of them. And, being saved, being baptized, a few years now, and being on this journey of sanctification, I've also learned that I'm not perfect, but I've also learned that, listen, at some point I am going to have to mature, and at some point I'm going to have to take this walk with the Lord seriously. And if the Lord is trying to get me into a space where I get to mature, then it's up to me. It's a decision you have to make. And you decide that you're going to continue on this journey, right? Because you can be left behind. God can leave you there kicking and screaming all you like, having a temper tantrum. But if you really truly want to walk with God, you're going to have to grow up. You're going to have to grow up, as harsh as it may sound, but you're going to have to grow up and listen. Listen. All discipline doesn't feel good, but it's for your best. It's for your best, right? So, I know that's how I look like in the spirit, a little child kicking and screaming, don't want to go along. But sure enough, God is still there and God is waiting for me. And now it's up to me. I can decide how, I get to dictate how long I'm going to try to wrestle with God. And we've had examples in the Bible that show us, Israel, that show us, um, and we're going to get to Bible studies eventually, but that show us the characteristics of these people that also God used, that they themselves too were wrestling with God. But nonetheless, if God has chosen you and you have answered the call and you have said, yes, God, use me, you best believe that God is just not going to leave you to your own little devices, your own little comforts, just for the sake of it. No, there's work that needs to be done. And in order for you to be even effective, an effective member in God's kingdom, remember, not your kingdom, not your world, not what you're trying to build, in God's kingdom, God has got to get a handle. God has got to walk you through a season where He teaches you. And in that process of teaching, He's also got to strip away the things that are not beneficial to His kingdom, the things that are not beneficial to you. You may have gotten away with it in your walk before Christ. However, there's certain things, there's certain characteristics, there's certain personality traits, there's certain behaviors that is just not conducive to the walk with God. That's just not conducive to the characteristics of God, and that's just not conducive to the fruits of the Spirit that God is trying to impart to you, so that you also may be effective eventually down the line when God is ready to use you, right? But those same bad habits, that same mindset, that same behavior, the same personality traits, the same coping mechanism, the same toxic traits that you have can't come along with you. It cannot. So, which brings me to the season of wilderness. The season of wilderness. Oh my goodness. And when you go into your season of wilderness, it is definitely not even going to feel like what you think it may feel like. It is not going to look like what you think it may look like. Um, Even the stuff that you have to unlearn, the new things that you have to learn, it's going to look so different. So different. But, trust in the Lord. The Lord knows what He is doing. The Lord is guiding you to everything that you need. Everything. So, um, even in your season of wilderness, depending on how quickly you come into agreement with God, will also be how quickly, how long you stay there. There's certain lessons that um, you'll have to learn. There's certain things that you will have to learn along the way. There's certain things you'll have to unlearn. Um, but the longer that you are resistant to the change, is the longer you will be there. And again, we will get eventually into Bible study. But I just want to be able to show you guys also in the Bible how this looks like. Um, how this looks like, and how a group of people, how the Israelites were also led from their season of being enslaved and being in bondage, and how when God finally brings them into their season, before He can bring them into the promised land, but their season of the wilderness, it was only supposed to be there for, they were only supposed to be there for 40 days. It turned into 40 years, and not all of them made it to the promised land. So, like I said, as somebody who's gone through this, um, definitely am here to teach you guys how it looks like, and also how you can come into agreement a lot faster with God, because there's certain things that, if God is trying to show you something about yourself, um, how you can just come into agreement with God so you can actually be an effective member again for His kingdom. um, but also not waste time, not waste the gift, and not waste the gift of your season of wilderness. And trust me, I say this, I can't even believe sometimes that these are the words that come out my mouth, because I am so grateful for the season of wilderness. When you're going through it, holy moly, like, there are times I don't, I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't feel like praising. I don't feel like giving God all um my best. But God also knows, okay, sometimes it can be hard. It can be hard. It can be emotionally challenging. Because, like I said, even in that season of wilderness, it is so shocking. And depending on what you've been through in life, um, it could be really debilitating, especially when you start losing people, um, when you start having to say no to opportunities, when when you think that people, relationships, family, when you think that certain people will be with you, will stay with you, and then you lose them along the way, it is painful. It is painful, even so much so, like, even things that you used to engage with. Not that I'm a person that drank, because I didn't, but you could be that person that loved to go out, loved to socialize, that loved to drink, smoke. Um, yeah, I'm just being led to say this, but even just like part of hookup culture, just have, sex with no strings attached. Um, you may find yourself even gossiping, being around people that don't really add value to their life, to your life. They're just so focused on staying busy, having fun, just being a distraction to you. Um, you may find yourself in that season, in your wilderness season, that slowly over time, all of a sudden, these things do no longer resonate with you. These things no longer are fun anymore. You may find yourself always slowly losing interest in that. The things that you used to have an interest in, and all of a sudden you don't have it anymore. And just even coming into a space like that could also be like, okay, what's going on with me? Why am I feeling like this? Why don't I feel how I used to feel? Um, you can even feel like you don't even recognize yourself anymore, right? And that's slowly God working on your heart, working on you, and pruning you, pruning you. And I didn't understand when this was first starting, I didn't understand that this is how God was um, working. This was God's process, and this was how God was taking me through that season. Because Lord knows at the beginning, I kicked and screamed, and I thought everything was unfair. And I'm like, God, I don't understand. I'm reading the word, I'm going to church, I'm a part of Bible studies, I'm a part of covenant groups. And yet, there was just certain things when I was reading in the Bible that my mind had not caught up as yet. There was still immaturity in me that I just didn't understand. And I didn't want to understand it because it didn't make sense to me. I couldn't see how it would bless me. Now I do, after a few years and a few months. But I didn't even realize that all of that was for my benefit and all of that was for my pruning. So the concept of pruning, like I said, came to me when I stepped out into the backyard, seen the garden, seen the roses, and I remembered again. God brings things back to your memory, like your memory, and so I remembered um, when I was trying to prune my rose plant. I also knew when I was learning about roses that after roses bloom and after they come up and after they die, you have to go in and you have to snip them. You have to take care of them. And a lot of the times, too, and it could be with any plant that you have, too. A lot of times you actually have to cut them down so short that it looks like your plant is very bare and barren. And it looks like your plant has got nothing going on for it. And it may look like, my goodness, because I know I thought that. I was like, my goodness, if this is just in the beginning of summer, um, and I'm cutting it so short, is it even going to grow enough for more roses to bloom later on? But I followed the process. I trimmed my plants down, pruned them. I trimmed them down, um, and I just sat back. I kind of actually left it alone. Still watered it. It's outside. I know God's taking care of it. God's beaming its light down on it. So I just left it alone. And then, um, sure enough, I walk out, and this week I noticed, I'm like, oh my gosh, look at the rosebuds coming up. And then walked out yesterday morning and I saw that 5 of them had blossomed. They're open, they're beautiful, and I have like 2 or 3 more buds coming up. I'm like, wow, wow. I'm like, this is amazing. And it was at that moment I realized, my God, I am so grateful. I'm so thankful that I followed the process. Even though I didn't understand it at the time when I had to trim the plant down. Um, within weeks, look at that. They're blooming. The summer is not even over, and they're blooming, and they're beautiful, and they're gorgeous. Um, so that was the message, and that is going to be the theme of September, and maybe even perhaps going into your next season, because a lot of you guys have been in a season where, yeah, it was pruning. It was pruning time, and I'm a person who loves nature and I love the seasons, but I also have come to realize when you're walking with the Lord, you have different spiritual seasons. So, although right now it may be the summertime, the sun is out, it's beautiful outside, you may actually not be in a season where it's summertime in your spiritual journey. You may not. You may actually be in a season where it's winter, where there's nothing going on, where it looks dead, where everything is dormant. Okay, fine. And there may be times also springtime where you know things are supposed to happen. There's rebirth happening. There's new growth happening. But also you could be in that season. Then you can also be in the season where it's summertime, in your spiritual season where, after the winter, after everything looks dead and everything is dormant and asleep, and then you go through a renewal process and rebirth process and the newness of life. And then now in the summertime, you get to actually enjoy the summer. You get to enjoy the fruits of your labor. You get to do all of that. And then comes fall, where also you need to prune things. You need to trim things. You need to cut things down. God's working on you. Working on you. And God is going to cut away the things that are not going to be beneficial to your growth. God is going to remove things from your life, remove people, remove opportunities, jobs, friends, relationships, business deals, even work. Remove even your desires that you used to have. God, remove that all away, right? Because God needs to get you right back down, so He can actually start to nourish you, where He can start to pour into you again. So guess what? So that new life can come about. So there's certain things that just was not yielding its fruit. Certain things that just was not yielding its fruit. And again, we're going to go into, like I said, some biblical teaching, especially like fruits of the Spirit, loving, love, kindness, joy, patience, self-control, peace, gentleness, goodness, right? Goodness, gentleness. All that's from the Lord. All that is from the Lord. But in order for all these things, all these new things to be imparted to you, you got to remove things. You got to remove distractions. You got to remove things that are just not in alignment with God, but that's also taking up space. Okay. I've also been in a season, my wilderness, where it seemed like nothing was going on. Like I wasn't feeling like everything that God had said. I wasn't feeling any fruits of the Spirit. I wasn't feeling that. But sometimes you're also in a spirit, like in a time where it's like, no, but God's also working underneath you, laying down the foundation underneath you, the roots, getting that so secure. And so it seems like it's a lot of repetition. It seems like you're reading the same thing. It seems like you're hearing messages of the same thing. It seems like you're going through the same types of lessons, but it's also like building blocks, building foundational blocks where you're so secured in this. Now you've actually understood the principles, but now God is making those roots really solidified in you. So you have that root foundation in you. You have the root foundation in you. And it's a beautiful thing. And then there's going to be other times where there's certain things that you think that you may have gotten over. Like I said, the lessons of forgiveness, the lessons of letting go, the lessons of, keeping God first, the lessons of allowing God into your space, into your heart, allowing God to heal, to work on the pain that you've also been carrying. Now, I don't know who you are. I don't think there's any single one person that can actually walk through life unscathed and not feel the residue of some type of